You said that when you go to Kemet school, you became more alert. You made wake up, your spirit wake up, and you became a more human being. That's your character is built in a school. When you study what we call classical studies, we must know Netcher. You see, maybe in the future we need to know some heretic too. We need to know Netcher. So the most achievement in Kemet for me is education. The way they think, they build, and they practice their education is very unique in history. Without education, I believe there will be no Kemet.
Hotep, ATM Hotep. Peace, 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 peace. Brother Wajao, tuned into the Sesh channel. Just gonna jump straight into it. So the title of this very, very late third shift, Kemet and Chill, is really just an aftermath of a show that's probably still going on, a live stream still going on the Pseudo Killers channel. And so the brother, Bobby Baltimore, formerly known as Unc, he gave a presentation tonight, where he read from the Brooklyn Museum the cards, the exhibition or exhibit cards or whatever that's coming out of the Brooklyn Museum, where it talks about basically the origin of the ancient Egypt or ancient Egyptian culture. And so if you had a chance to check it out, then that's great, because I'm just speaking on that. If you haven't, check out the presentation. But I'm just going live as a slight aftermath, just to give a little bit of commentary and clarity on some statements that I've made. I really don't have to clarify it. I just want to basically reiterate it for those who tune in and whatnot on some things. Just point out a few things about the live stream and some reiterate. That's what I should say. Reiterate some of the comments I made on the live stream. And so let me just start here. Peace to everybody that's tuning in. I know it's real late. That's why I call it a third shift. So all you vampires out there, people that stay up real late, or you may be on the West Coast. On the West Coast, it's only 16 minutes after midnight. So you safe. But for those of us on the East Coast, it's third shift type stuff right here. Burning the midnight oil. late night oil. But anyway, I'm just gonna jump straight in. So one of the things that I pointed out, or one of the things that happened on the discussion or during the discussion, and I'm just gonna start with this, is, and this is just basic. I'm mentioning this because this should be the norm. This should be, like, paid attention to, is that when someone gives a presentation, and any of you all who've been in school, especially college, because college, the way college is set up, and all you went to college, you know this. So I'm not saying anything new. I'm preaching to the choir. But for those people who may not have been to college, and you do experience it in high school too, but in college, most colleges are set up where the classroom is really a lecture. It's not like high school or grade school where you have the small classroom and a teacher and you kind of interact in real time. But in college, it's usually lecture based. The professor is standing. I know. See, I went to University of Maryland, and my classes were huge. We had like lecture halls, and it was like a movie theater where the seats were at different levels. Graduate go up, just like a movie theater. It literally looked like a movie theater. That's how it was set up, and you sit there. The professor's down in the front, and he's giving a lecture, and the professors don't even know your name. Everyone is known by their social security number. Like, that's what you got to write on your paper, like the last 4 digits of your social security number. That's how we had to do it. But I say that to say that when a person gives a lecture or a presentation, when they finish that lecture, finish that presentation, they usually open it up for questions and discussion. They either open it up for discussion or they open it up for Q&A. Now, the default is that the discussion and or the Q&A, it should be based on the content of the presentation. That's just normal. That's basic. That's just basic presentation, phenomena 101, whatever you want to call it. It's just very, very basic. And so that's one of the things I mentioned tonight, because Bobby West, formerly known as Unc, he gave a presentation, and a couple of people came on the panel that did not watch the presentation. And what that does, and everybody's free to do what they want. So my comment was not to a thing to say, you can't do this, you can't do that. But the point I was making, and I'm making now, is that anytime that you give a lecture or a presentation and there's someone who didn't watch it or didn't see it, that is going against the normal flow of even why the presentation was given. Because anything out of their mouth is not going to be related or based on the content of the presentation. Why? Because they missed it. So either they have to play catch up, you have to catch them up, or they're going to ask or discuss something that is not related to the content of the presentation. And so, like me personally, now, this is my background. If I walk in late on a presentation, like if somebody's giving a presentation and it's supposed to start at 3 p.m. sharp, and I go to the lecture hall and I get there an hour late or 45 minutes late, so I'm there at 3:45 and they start at 3 o'clock p.m. And when I walk in, they're making their closing statements on their presentation, and then they open it up for discussion or Q&A. Out of respect, I'm not going to ask any questions, because I know that my questions my questions are going to be based on complete ignorance of the content of the discussion. The only question that I could possibly ask is for the lecturer or the professor or whatever the case is to repeat what their lecture was about. And just out of common practice, general practice, we just don't do that. I never known people to do that. I've never known people to do that and whatnot. So I was just kind of reiterating that tonight, and I'm reiterating it here, that should be the norm, even online. In this space, we should have the same thing. If people are late to a presentation, then YouTube is set up to where you can hit the rewind button, even while you're live. You could pull the playhead back and listen. So that's one thing. And but when I said it, it was a little bit of confusion about what I said when I was saying that. And 99% of the time when it is allowed, the conversation is derailed. The lecture or presentation that was given gets diminished and undermined. I know from experience, my entire adult educational life and beyond, I've seen it. And it happens, and everybody sees it and knows it. So there was a little bit of confusion when I said that tonight. But anyway, so I'm just reiterating that. That's just some basic stuff for everybody. Everybody should be aware of that. That's just some basic stuff, So that's what a comment that I made. And so that's one thing. Number two, as I've been saying for the longest time, is that every time a topic about Egypt and who the Egyptians were and what have you comes up, because that's an umbrella, right? That's an umbrella topic. Any subtopics that fall up under that umbrella category of who were the ancient Egyptians, there's certain things that's going to always come up that are not valid for a progressive conversation on that, a forward-moving conversation with that. And one is phenotypes, genotypes, DNA, and race. Those three things always comes up in those conversations. It never fails, and it did so tonight. But they don't inform of the answer or solution to that question. And so I asked tonight was, after the presentation, I asked the question, is everybody settled now? Can everyone move on? Can everyone move on now? And it was mixed answers on the answers I got. I didn't get an answer from everybody, but on the answers I did get, there was a no. And when I asked that question, people took it the wrong way. People took it as if I was saying that nobody should talk about ancient Egypt anymore, or that I'm saying that people should no longer bring up certain topics on their channels and they shouldn't be able to run their channels a certain way. That me over here on the Sesh channel, I talk about Egypt stuff all the time, and I don't move on from that. So why should other people move on their channels and things like that? And they totally missed the point that I was making, or even the question. And instead of allowing me to clarify at first, I wasn't allowed that. But I hope I clarify myself after the fact that when it comes to specific claims. So this is the point I made when I was allowed to get it out, but I still don't think it hit home. And this is the point. More and more people need to be able to recognize when a claim has succeeded and triumphed, or it failed and was refuted. That needs to be known by more and more people. When more and more people become familiar with that and is able to understand that, then we're going to see more quality conversations, quality, arguments between two opposing parties and things like that. That and only then is when that's going to happen. Because right now, not enough people recognize that. And so a claim can be made, and then it could be totally refuted. But if people don't recognize that it was refuted, then it's likely that the claim is going to still live on and on and on and be brought up, even within the same environment. Now, I could see somebody totally detached from the claim and the conversation, and they're new and they're bringing something up because they're not privy to the conversation, period. I understand that. But that's not how things work in this space. And by this space, I mean the whole circus community. You know, and we got to get better at that, because from my vantage point in dealing with these subjects online for 10 years and then beyond that offline a lot longer, it's just getting old and tired, and it's really frustrating to hear these same old arguments and conversations, and for these claims to either prevail or get refuted and not be recognized. And it goes both ways. People don't recognize when a claim prevails, and they don't understand or recognize when a claim is proven false or refuted. And that's a problem. That's a problem. Right there, it's a problem. So that was another point that I said. And that was really only 2 points that I felt the need to make during the presentation. But if you missed the presentation, what Unc shared, Unc and the brother Reggie, what they shared, Unc was the one sharing. But it was from I believe it's from the Brooklyn Museum, because they mentioned the Brooklyn Museum, the Metropolitan Museum, and I believe between those two, but I think it was the Brooklyn Museum. And fairly recently, the Brooklyn Museum has information and literature that is saying, in a nutshell, the gist of it is that the ancient Egyptians, basically the ancient Egyptians came from the South. In a nutshell, the ancient Egyptian culture came from the South, and everything that people recognize and know about ancient Egypt, it came from the South. That's basically what the whole thing is in a nutshell. If I had to sum it up into like a one sentence, that's what it is. It talks about Nubia and Egypt having an interplay and influencing each other, and how scholars looked at Nubia as an inferior people or culture, and all of that good stuff. And it was basically everything that was said was repeating things that we've been saying for years, and especially recently, within the last 2 years. But I know we've been saying this for a lot longer than that. And that's it. So now that a museum is saying it, is why I asked the question tonight. I said, listen, after tonight, can we move on? And like I said, it was mixed answers. Some people were like, yeah, I'm good now. I'm good. And then some people were saying, no, and whatnot. And so it is what it is. And so that was the one of the things. And then another thing I want to bring up, and I'm trying to bring these things up now because I know it's late, is the brother Thunder was on the channel, and he came to the panel late. He didn't see the presentation, and that's what kind of sparked me to say what I was saying about presentations being diminished if that's allowed to go on. If people ask questions who didn't see the presentation, it's like, well, what are we going to talk about? Like I just spent 45 minutes giving a presentation and you didn't see it. So it's like the only thing that you and I can talk about is gonna either I'm gonna have to reiterate things I said in the presentation already, or you're gonna take the presentation off course, or conversation off course. So you normally don't do that. But anyway, Thunder asked the question. His bottom line was, were the ancient Egyptians black? And I stepped in and answered. I said no. I just told him straight, plain, one syllable word. No. No, they're not. They weren't. And that was it. He was cool. He said, nah. Oh, he said, hey, all right, I'm good. He said, hey, thank you. He said, hey. And then, but I did say, if you want me to elaborate, I can. Or if you want me to explain, I can. He said, nope, he's cool. All right. And so that's that. And now normally, and see, that satisfaction on just a yes or no or saying no, that is telling as well. Because, and you know, everybody's not like this, but yes or no answers are very shallow. Like it's known in scholarship that yes or no answers, just yes or just no, we refer to that as that's shallow. It's very shallow. Because usually when you say yes or no, you follow that up with an explanation or you expound. You qualify the yes or no. And that's normal. That's normal in real scholarship, in real scholarly discourse. So when I see people that are satisfied with a yes or no answer in that situation, then it lets me know that I'm dealing with a shallow situation, that there's really no interest there, you know. And I'm just being real. That's just how it is. And I'm sure you all either have done it or you know, witnessed it or have it done to you, where somebody asks you a question and you start off, and this is how you're supposed to start off. You're supposed to answer the question as concise as possible and then expound. You don't start with the explanation and then give the answer. You give the answer, then you explain. That's the normal flow of things. That's normal scholarly behavior 101. Questions and answers. You know, you answer the question, then you elaborate, you explain, you expound, you know, all that good stuff. So, but that was my answer. And that is my real answer. I wasn't being sarcastic or anything. The ancient Egyptians were not black. They weren't, but see, and this is the thing, they weren't any of the racial categories that we have today, that we conceive of today and utilize today, and how we lump human populations in these categories today. They were none of them. Okay. They didn't have a conceptualization of our modern notion of race in their minds. People of antiquity didn't do things like that. And so, no, they weren't that. And then the follow-up question people usually ask in that situation is, well, if they were alive today, would you consider them black? And some people ask it that way. And then some people say, well, all right, well, then let me ask you a different way. If an ancient Egyptian was walking down the block of D.C. or Manhattan or in Queens in New York or whatever, would you consider them a black person or blah, blah? You know, they'll switch it and ask like that. And that's telling, because what that does is that people are guilty of committing an anachronism. You know, they're projecting backwards our modern notions just so that we can organize and categorize people of antiquity when they didn't do that themselves. And that's not even how they became a demarcated or distinguished people. It wasn't based on our social rules of distinction, you know. So, like, I'm gonna give you an example. If today I separate, okay, if today I separate metal items from clothing items from food. So I mentioned 3 categories. So we got food, we got clothing, and we got tools like metal items. Okay, those are 3 distinct categories. Now, and that's today. So let's say I did that today. Now, obviously, in order for me to do that, I have inclusionary rules and exclusionary rules that's embedded in me doing that. So what makes a food, what makes a clothing, and what makes a metal tool is what I'm conceptualizing, which allows me to make those three categorical distinctions. All right. That's how I'm doing it today. But let's say sometime in later on in the future, the people at that particular time, say 1,000 years from now, people in that particular time period, they have totally different rules of setting up categories of different items. All right. And so it would be wrong for people in 1,000 years in the future to apply their rules of categorization and superimpose it on my rules of categorization and making food, clothing, and metal tools. And when that happens, everything gets blurred because you can't discuss it in the context of which it really lived and had function. You see, so I'm gonna get that was like my attempt, because it's late. It was my attempt to give like an example, analogy example. But let me give you a real example. Most of us, growing up in grade school, we learn the different colors, and we know the primary colors, secondary colors. Like we learn at least primary, secondary colors, right? What is it? Blue, yellow. What is it? What are the primary colors? Man, it's been a long time. Yellow, blue, yellow, red.
Red, blue, and yellow.
Red, blue, and yellow. Man, I'm slipping. And then from those three colors, you can blend and make other colors, secondary colors, and so on and so forth. I know yellow and blue makes green, et cetera, right? Okay, so we conceive and conceptualize colors, and we have labels for certain colors, right? Well, there are living cultures right now, today, that don't have the same colors that we have. But that sounds strange for me to say that, right? I'm going to say it again. There are cultures that are alive right now, groups of people that are alive right now that do not have the same colors that we have. Now, that sounds strange because it sounds like I'm saying as if those people don't have eyes and they can't see. But even though they can look at the same object that we look at, and we will label the object as green, they don't see green. They see what we see. They see the object, but in their mind, it's not green because they conceptualize it totally different. And this is real. I if I had time, maybe I'll pull up the literature on this and name the group of people. Same thing with timekeeping. There are some people that don't have cardinal points. But let me stick with this color thing for a second. So there are some people who will consider our color green, like what we would call green, they will call it blue. Okay? And so on and so forth. Like their spectrum of demarcation, and all it is a demarcation line. Like where one color has shades, and then at the extreme end they switch the label and say, okay, that's part of another group. And this is like a color taxonomy. It's like the demarcation or differentiation between colors. Different cultures have different margins and range of shades that they label a certain thing. So we have ours, and some people don't have the same thing. And so for us, it would be a shade of green, but for another group of people, it'd be a shade of blue. You see? And so if you tell somebody and they speak and they understand the English blue, you say, give me a blue shirt. And they'll bring you a green one. And you'll be like, yo, I said blue. This don't match. I need blue. And they're like, it is blue. You're like, no, it's green. And then y'all argue. You see? So I'm saying that to say, because the same thing happens when it comes to any type of categorization, whether it's human categories, plant categories, animal categories, wild animals, whatever, you name it. This is ontology and taxonomy at work. And people don't understand that. And so this is something that people are going to have to understand so that these conversations can go beyond trying to figure out if the ancient Egyptians were black or not. Because to me, that's a zombie topic at this point. It fails to die, but it's dead. It's like Walking Dead. It's a Walking Dead topic, you know. But let me go to the time though, or cardinal points. There are cultures living today. They don't have a north, south, east, west conceptualization. They don't conceive that. They don't have that in their mind, in their psyche. So to them, every cardinal point, or I'm sorry, I misspoke. There are people who don't have fixed cardinal points in their mind. Like we have a fixed north, a fixed south, fixed east, west. Like no matter how your our bodies are orientated, east will always be east, west will always be west, north will be always be. If I tell you to face north, you're gonna turn your body to face north. If I say if you're facing north and I say face south, you're gonna make an about face, a 180-degree turn to face south. There are populations of people, cultures living today that don't have that. It's not in their psyche. It's not in their culture. So north to them is whichever way they're facing. North is in front of them at all times. So there's no conversation you're gonna have and you tell somebody face north, because no matter which way they're already facing, it's north. You say face south, they can't face south, because if they turn around, which you would expect them to do, about face like how we would do, that's their north again. So they can never face south. That sounds weird, but that's a cultural difference, and we do things different, and it may be weird to us, but it's that's how things are. So anyway, I'm just saying these couple of things because these are things we gotta realize, and this is just some basic stuff. We just got to get past it. And I was hoping that after Bobby West slash Reggie did their thing, that hopefully we'll see. Hopefully we'll get past these conversations. I doubt it though. I'm very pessimistic on that. I doubt it's gonna be the same thing. Watch, it's gonna go on for another 6 months. Me, Wujao, I am not gonna be. Y'all not gonna see me chiming in on that. All right, I'm gonna keep it rolling. So there's topics have been suggested to me that we're gonna go live on and build. That's it. We're gonna move it. We're gonna move it forward. Anybody who's worried about whether Egyptians are black or not, go over there. Go to whatever whoever's talking about those topics, because the Egyptians are the Egyptians. Get into the culture. That's it. Because if you find out that they are black or they're not black, then what? You're stuck. And that's cool. If that's your destination, that's just not mine. Everybody don't have to agree with me or the way that we do things on this channel. We're all grown adults. We got tough skin. So if people are if your destination in your research and your goal is to find out if the Egyptians are black or not, good luck to you. More power to you. I wish you the best. You know what I'm saying? And that's it for some people. If you're trying to figure out if they're a Mediterranean culture or sub-Saharan African culture or super Saharan culture, African culture, good luck. Because you're going to find that out. You could find that out really quick, but people prolong it and stretch it out for a year and act like they do something. But that's it. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say. Anyway, what you got? You got anything from the presentation? I see the chat. I'm now looking at the chat. I'm see if anybody, y'all can hop on, chill out for another 15 minutes. You got anything?
Hotep. Yeah, no, I was just really it's not much to say because at this point it's just repetition, I guess, because this is something that you guys have said, and I'll be specific and say, okay, the members of the Amira squad that deal with the language specifically and the culture. You guys have been saying this for years. I remember coming in, you know, coming into these studies and hearing you guys specifically explain these things, especially back then where it wasn't even so many sources that you could actually find from Egyptology that was saying this, but with the presentation from Uncle Bobby. Hold on one second, guys. Oh yeah, so I was just saying that coming from the presentation from Bobby, Baltimore, Uncle Bobby. That was actually a really good presentation. I mean, it just shows, obviously, these are things that people have access to. The museum, or the internet, books and whatnot. But that's actually a good presentation that just shows what the current consensus is, in this field of study. And that is pretty much what the Amiras Court has been saying, the culture coming from the South, and the culture being cosmopolitan. Obviously, that is a non-given considering the geographical location of Egypt. And just everything that Ankh showed, and we showed, other than what has been said on this channel, what has been said on the Amira Squad channel in the past. Just 2 days ago, we also showed the new, the new book coming from Cambridge University Press, that actually just backs all this. And so this is now common. This is just common knowledge now among Egyptologists. Pretty much they've just given up on trying to literally take Egypt out of Africa and cutting off from what they term as Nubian culture and whatnot. So at this point, if anybody doesn't understand when a claim has been refuted, that's just cognitive dissonance, because it is what it is. You can't argue. People want to argue with you guys, with you, with Jao, with Asa, with with Sanjeri, with Smash. People actually feel like they need to argue, like what was it Garfield that was showing that old interaction between you guys and young Pharaoh and Seti. People always feel like they need, in order to come up, they need to either disagree with the members of the Amin Ra squad. And it's not, when you start feeling that you need to disagree with the person as opposed to actually trying to figure out the information and probably disagreeing with the information until you come up, until you come across the evidence, then it goes wrong. Because at this point, it's not even what you guys were saying before. They were like, oh, you guys say this, nobody's saying that. That's what you guys are saying. But at this point, even the fact that through that, just showing what the museum shows, and actually feeling like you need to argue about it, or you need to pretend to not have seen the presentation and try to further the argument, prolong it, like everything that was being said was not refuted. That becomes problematic, and then it's not scholarship anymore. It's just people killing time, whatnot. And I think that's what it is, and that's a problem.
Yes, indeed. So, yeah, it's third shift. It's very late. And who was that I just had showed just now? Immortal Truth. You were saying, what was it? You said, yeah, it's trash hour now on the pseudo killers now. Okay, yeah. Well, no, it was good information. At this point, what I forgot to ask was if Reggie or Bobby would put those images, because I believe Reggie must have taken pictures of what it says in the Brooklyn Museum or whatever the case is, but put those images together in like a PDF and just disseminate it. Just put it up somewhere, let people download it so they can read it, and let it saturate everybody, and let them have at it. And if they have a problem with it, they need to consult with the Brooklyn Museum and see what they're saying, So That's pretty much it. But hopefully, everybody who tunes into our shows, our archives, we have a lot of information, and it does get frustrating to me because a lot of these things are things that we've covered, and the reason why we cover it is so that we can head this stuff off. But I understand why this happens, so it's just frustrating. But it's something that does happen, and I understand. I get it because see, we don't have a wide audience. We're not as visible as other people and stuff like that. So people are not exposed to the things that we do. That's why I ask anybody who does tune in, share the videos, share them around. When you hear or see a topic pop up, and we've covered it on the video, grab the link, and then post it somewhere. Shoot it to people, share it, because a lot of things that people talk about we've covered, and that's why we put videos up. I just post links. Like if you all see me on Facebook, you don't see me type a whole bunch of stuff. I just be posting links because we already covered stuff. Recently we were requested a few things. Someone wants us to go over the how Hatshepsut was born, the divine scene of her birth, Hatshepsut's birth. So we did that before, but we'd do that again. Things we don't mind doing it again. But to do them over and over and over again, or for people to bring up things that we've covered, from our perspective, we'd be like, oh man, we've done that, like, man, 4 years ago. Like if somebody come up to me now and say, hey, the hieroglyphics have never been deciphered, do you understand how frustrating that would be? So I'd be like, well, hey, here's the link to Amazon, the book, get the book, read the book, then come talk to me. And that's how you do it. I don't have to sit here and explain what I've already explained in the book. Just get the book. If you want to challenge that, get the book first, and then argue with me from the content of the book. So the same thing we do with videos. We already walked through this race thing. We got videos talking about the race of ancient, titled "The Race of the Ancient Egyptian." Who cares? I purposely did that.
Black or white, who cares? Those are the title.
Yeah, black or white, who cares? Exactly, who cares? Now there are people who do care, but I'm saying who cares, as if to say what I'm saying is like you shouldn't, because it's irrelevant whether they're black or white. You know, whether they're black or white, it does not matter. So anyway, I'm trying to see any questions, any last minute questions. Any questions that we got in the chat? Are there any questions? Shout out to everybody. We got Donnie, Aaron, Immortal Truth, Anthony Bowman, Sadiq. All right, Sadiq. Yeah, Sadiq read excerpts from one of the books. Now, those Cambridge series, there's 9 books. Get them all. They're all available. They're all available right now. I got them all. Get them. All right, if you don't get them, listen, man. You're not serious.
But check this out while you're reading the questions. I think it's something that's interesting when, because I know lately you've actually you've been I guess you probably did you're a prophet because because you I know what you did in the last two couple of shows was, I'm sure, all the resources that people need to people who actually like to or would like to engage themselves in these kind of conversations, what they need the literature review, that they need to be up on. And it's nice that those are actually labeled by different topics within within the field of study. But interestingly, tonight, when Ankh was asking, I guess when Chief X was first on, whatever he was saying a couple of times, what are your sources? And that was played off like that was something wrong to ask. And obviously, people do that when they know that they don't have a source, that whatever it is that they're basing their claim on is just their opinions. Because you can find sources on what you say. I mean, either on this other side of the argument or the other side of the argument. That should never be a problem. But when people are actually shy to actually share their information or their sources, then you know that they're really not, they don't have a place in the discussion, because obviously they're not well studied enough in that particular discussion that they're having. And I saw that tonight. I guess I hope everybody else caught that, when you ask your sources, when you put a claim forward and you ask what's your source, that should never be a problem, in this game. Literally, like, that should not be a problem. You can find a plethora of sources that you need. But, that shows you that a lot of people just get into the argument just to muddy waters. They're not ready, they're not prepared, they shouldn't even be in that discussion in the first place.
Absolutely. So these are 3 of the 9 books that I was just talking about, and the brother Sadiq, the other day, it's in archives. It's Ancient Egypt in its African Context. That's the book on the left. We read some excerpts out of that book. That's a great book. The one in the middle, Ethnic Identities in the Land of the Pharaohs, excellent book. Egypt in the Desert, excellent book. All of them, all 9. These are 3 of the 9. All right. Just go to Amazon, type in the title, and then you should see all 9. There's 10 books altogether. 9 are available now. One of them, it's up for pre-order, and you best believe I pre-ordered it. So as soon as this, I think it comes out March 30th or so, somewhere like that. So there's 10 altogether. All right, nine are available. Get them all. All right. I mean, if you're serious, I mean, when I say get them all, I can't make anybody do anything. So you get what you're interested in. Spend your money. You invest in where your interests lie. All right. So, anything in the chat, anything from you all. Like Kemet to chill. So if you just join us, like a recent subscriber to our channel, then just to kind of lay out what we do, we used to do Freestyle Fridays on Friday nights, where we would take an inscription, a brief inscription, usually it's like a museum piece or something brief, and we would freestyle on it. And by that I mean we would use no books, no dictionaries, no sign list or anything like that, and we would go from our head, which hence freestyle, and we would try to transliterate and translate whatever the picture is, whatever the scene is saying, whatever the text is saying, and we would have fun with that. And we used to do that Freestyle Fridays. On Wednesdays, we used to give presentations. We used to call it Divine Words Wednesdays, and we've done that for like 2 years straight, year and a half straight, like nonstop, week after week after week after week. Then we developed a series of shows called Welcome to the Sabaite Dome, which is a play on Welcome to the Thunderdome, with Mad Max and the Thunderdome, and even Public Enemy's Welcome to the Terror Dome. But Welcome to the Sabaite Dome, where we address claims and correct them. So we refute false claims. That's what that series of shows are about. And so now we have a series called Kemet and Chill, totally open discussion, Q&A, where those of you in the chat or whoever comes on the panel, you direct the conversation. And the only thing we ask, obviously, is good behavior, which we don't have to get into or ever have to say so far so good. But also we just ask that the topic be related to ancient Egypt. But you direct the conversation. If we have information on the answer to your question, we'll share it. If we don't, either we'll table it to investigate, or we'll investigate in real time live. So that's what Kemet and Chill is all about. So when you see Kemet and Chill in the title, that's what that's about. When you see Sabaite Dome in the title, we're refuting some claims, and that's kind of fun. Like, people look forward to stuff like that. Any and all claims dealing with ancient Egypt. And then Divine Words Wednesdays, that was kind of glued to a day, but we kind of untethered from a day, but we will give presentations. And so those shows will be titled appropriately. And so we got some upcoming things, and then you all can suggest topics, because I like the Q&A open discussions because it motivates or it inspires future presentations. It inspires stuff like that. If you want to get into the language, deep into the language, like the other night, based on some questions, we talked about adverbial, not adverbial, but adjectival sentences versus a phrase. Adjectival phrase versus adjectival sentence. We got into that. So it's a wide range of things we could talk about. But we get requests already. We had some, like I said, Hatshepsut's birth, her divine birth, because you got Christians, or you got people out there claiming that Christianity stole things from Egypt. Now, I'm sure you all heard that in some shape, form, or fashion, but I don't involve myself with that conversation. And if you all are familiar with me and stuff like that, you probably was like, oh yeah, you're right. I never see you in those conversations. Well, I don't get into those conversations, and the main reason why is because people who argue those points, either for or against either side, the things that they say are not falsifiable on many accounts. By that I mean they're not proving it, like it's not conclusive. It's always some kind of vague, indirect inference, circumstantial type of stuff. And for me personally, I don't get involved with that because, one, I don't it doesn't matter if Christianity stole things from Kemet, or vice versa, or Mesopotamia stole from Kemet, or Kemet stole from Mesopotamia stuff. Same reason why I don't care if the Egyptians were black, white, purple, brown, yellow. Because what makes the ancient Egyptians is their accomplishments and what they did as a people. Whether they borrowed something, remixed it, whether Christians borrowed things from Egypt, remixed it, or whatever, it has an identity, and you judge it by that. That's where the focus is for me. Not for everybody, and I understand that, but I don't get involved with that. But somebody, I think Brother Garfield actually asked me to if I could speak on the divine birth. So I'm gonna pull up. As a matter of fact, I'll show y'all a preview. Well, I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'm just not gonna do it right now. It's late. Give me a second. I'm gonna pull it up. An image for it, if I could find it quick. If I could find it quickly, so you all could see the image, and you all will know what I'm talking about. All right, here's an example. Let me see what I can show you. Can I show you this one or this one? Which one's better? Which one is better? Nope, this one. I'll show this one. All right. Okay, so I'm going to show you all this image. Give me one hot second. Nope, not that. Wrong one. Here we go. There you go. And it's pretty big. Okay, so now this is actually a very good photograph. It's just that the paint and pigmentation, the paint is old and it's worn, so it's very hard to make out anything on here. Let me get my cursor. I'm gonna blow it up and see if we can see it better. Yeah, see, now you can start seeing some glyphs. See how I blow that up? See how you can see that? So, who is that? Well, look at the name above it. Let me blow it up even more. All right, now we can see it. Yep. Who is that? Can anybody tell me who that is? Now I know it's hard to see, but we going I'm gonna go through this. Just not tonight, but at least we could see something easy. See this right here, right? You see the Chenu or Cartouche? Her name is right there.
Uh-huh.
Hmm?
I see. Is it Smith? Because I see the is it moon and then the mess with the phonetic complement. I can see the top part so clear.
Okay, but yeah, you're right. Let's see if we can identify this person. Now you see this person, all the paint, you can see the outline. Now somebody could probably tell who this is just by looking at the figure. This is pretty unique. Right there, you see that? You see what's coming out?
Yeah, okay, I see it now. Yeah, look like
Who is that?
look look like Jehudi.
Yep. What name is that? In the Chenu. Same name you said before. Ah, mess. But anyway, so this is just so you all know, I'm gonna give y'all a little preview. A little preview of what's going on. I'm trying to shrink this back down so we can see more of the whole thing. But I want to go over this, I was asked to, but go over this, not just this, but the whole scene. This is only one portion of the scene. This figure down here that I'm pointing to, y'all might not be able to see very well, but there's a figure right here kneeling down. That is Haket, and you can see her name right there. You got the twisted flax right there. Man, I'll blow it up. I will blow it up again. Let's see, how can I blow this up even more? Here we go. I wish there was a wave that I could. Nah, it's too slow. Take me forever to blow up that way. I gotta drag. Okay, so let me get back over here. All right, so you see right there, these glyphs right there.
I saw the raised bread loaf over there.
That I'm pointing to, yes.
Yeah, and then the heel and then the basket.
But it's the other way.
The other one coming from Ket.
So Heket. That's who this person is. And guess who she is? She is a frog-headed deity, female, but she's the wife of Kinmu that everybody calls Kunum. Kinmu or Kunum. That's the wife of Kunum. And so if you're a little familiar with this, with all of this, you'll know that when people say Kunum and the potter's wheel, this is one of the main sources that they use is Hatshepsut's birth. Because in other scenes, it's Kunum that's fashioning her on the potter's wheel. And I'm going to show the scenes and we're going to go through the glyphs, but this one you can't make it out, so I'm not going to mess with this one in terms of the detail. But you have Haket, who's a wife of Kunum there. You got Jehudi and you got Hatshepsut's mother. That's her mother. And Jehudi is speaking with her. All right. So, but anyway, just to show y'all, but we're going to go through this. Yeah, and that's that. So what we got going on? Anybody else in the chat?
Yeah, we got 42 tribes saying a topic suggestion. Where is the L in the language before the lion glyph?
Yeah, that's a good question. Okay. All right, we're going to definitely take that. That's a good question right there. Where's the L in the language before the lion glyph? Yes. Well, I can answer it real quick. It would be the mouth. See? Done. Topic done. It's the mouth glyph. See? Next topic. See, that's really just a question. That's not a topic. But we can expound on it.
Yeah, I think that would be good to discuss on, because on, not what I'm not saying 42 Tribe said that, but one of the things that people always kind of talk about is like, well, this language did have this letter or whatever, and things like that. Just and that would be a good way to kind of just expound on those kind of misunderstandings that come in with that. Like there
Yep.
was no J in this language. There's no Y in this other language. So they've been lying to us, that kind of stuff.
All right. Olorisha. Peace. Alafia. Yeah, anything else? If not, just a quick little third shift brief chat. Just wanted to reiterate those points. So let me review. Let's do a review. All right, it's a closeout review. Listen, if you're going to give a lecture or a presentation, and when you conclude your lecture or presentation and you open it up for commentary, discussions, or Q&A, please make sure that those you open that up to are familiar with your presentation, that they actually listen to your presentation. Because if you don't, there's a consequence. Because if somebody who's not privy to your presentation, if you allow them to ask questions or to steer the conversation, 9 times out of 10, it's going to steer in a different direction. That's the consequence. Don't say I didn't warn you. Okay, that's the one. What else? What was the other point that I made? I forgot my other point I made.
Oh, you definitely made a point about knowing when a claim has been refuted.
Yes, Dua, thank you. Yes, we, the collective we need to get better at knowing when a claim has been refuted. And here's the example I gave tonight, earlier. We're watching basketball. We know the rules of basketball. Basketball would not be basketball without its rules. Now, those rules are enforced by what we call referees. The referees enforce the rules of the game, right? Football, same thing. NFL football, that is. So, if the LA Lakers or what's the best team? Steph Curry. What team he play for again? Man, I am just Golden State Warriors. But anyway, if a football team or basketball team, all right, let's say we're watching basketball, and let's say the Lakers are crushing the Bulls, and they win 100-65. The Bulls have 65. The Lakers have 100. Now that's easy to see that the Lakers prevailed. Now let me ask you: do you think anybody's gonna sit and argue whether the Lakers won or not? The score is 100-65. Nobody's gonna argue that and be taken serious. You know? So we're able to clearly see when something prevails and something fails. And so we got to get like that with these claims and arguments. We got to learn to know when something has been refuted. And if we can't know that, then we need to stop having these kind of arguments. Because you got to set a limit or boundary around stuff. You can't just argue ad infinitum. like just or ad nauseum. You just on and 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 on. Can't do that. All right, you can't do that. So that was another point that I made. We people got to get better at that. And see, the only way you know that somebody won a basketball game or a football game is you have to be familiar with the rules to know if a score is a score. Even boxing. Now, now I'm bringing up sports, but there are obviously nuances with this stuff because like boxing, if a boxing match goes to distance, a lot of times that's a lot of controversy. Only when somebody gets knocked out and counted out, either it's a KO or TKO, they get counted out or they get knocked out and the fight stops, is when you conclusively say, okay, so and so won and so lost. But if a fight goes the distance and it got to go to the scorecards, that's where controversy happens. Because what we see on TV, if you're not there, and even if you're there, what we see and what the judges see and how they score it may be different. We're looking at the showmanship and like how loud the punch lands, like pow pow, whatever, and we'll think, okay, man, that was man, so and so was hurt, so and so was hurt, but the judges are scoring differently, body blows, jabs, which ones land, and we may think something landed, but it didn't get landed, it wasn't clean, all of that stuff. You understand what I'm saying? So we have to understand the rules and act accordingly, even in these conversations. We got to get better at that. If we don't, man, we are doomed. Stuff gonna keep going on and on and on and on. You know, like people still arguing over whether Afroasiatic language filer is a legitimate language filer when it's not. People still use it as a reference because it's a proxy. Like people use reference. Like I'm gonna give you another example. In medicine, if you look up medical studies and medical papers in medicine, in the development of medicine and prescriptions and drugs, right? Under medicine, you will see in the papers they use the social construct of race in their documentation. But then there are many people in the medical field who know that race doesn't apply. That it's only used as a proxy because this is how we group human beings. So I say that to say that people will still use things, but not knowing that where and when it actually applies and for what reason. Cultural anthropologists and people and people in the field now, they don't worry about whether Egyptians are black or not, black or white. They will tell you they're neither. Look at the scholarship now. Like more and more scholars are saying that they're neither. They're neither. They don't, it doesn't apply. The Egyptians are the Egyptians. It's a group. It's a nationality / ethnicity on a bigger scale. That's it. So that's that. Hotep, comfort on ye. Hotep. All right, we're about to wind it down now. It's late. It's definitely late. It's East Coast. It's it's 4:21 in the morning. MK, you got any last words?
No, not really. But maybe I should just emphasize that at this point, it is absolutely crystal clear that in the field of Egyptology, they've adjusted themselves to what the Amun-Ra squad has been saying. So really, anybody that has a problem now, it really needs to take it to the Egyptologists. Period, point blank. And the only way you're going to do that is by leveling your skills up in the field of Egyptology. Basically, you're not just going, you're not going to be taking it to the Egyptologists on YouTube. So at this point, y'all just need to chill because the books are coming up. Museums are coming up. The texts have been coming out because we've been reading from the text anyway. So that's always been there. But the texts say what they say, the books say what they say, the museums say what they say. If you are going to keep yourself with the updated information, it's definitely what the Amira Sword has been saying. So at this point, all that black, white, Nubia, Mediterranean, it's settled. So it's just gonna take, and you're gonna see more coming out because at this point, anybody studied in this field is not even gonna get themselves caught out there, doing this kind of arguments really because it's plain. So yeah, it's beating dead horse. You call it what is it called? What is it you call it again? A zombie? Yeah, it's a zombie topic, I guess, at this point. It's settled. So if you have an issue with that at this point, you're not going to argue with Wiki, just argue with the Egyptologists, period. So that's all I'm going to say.
All right, shout out to Donnie Williams, man. Donnie, you've been doing an excellent job, and I can tell that you've been keeping close to the studies and stuff like that. So but we'll go march forward with all of that good stuff. We're gonna be going hard. Hopefully these topics will find a resting place, and we can move on with a lot of things. So we take requests, we take suggestions and requests on topics. So if you're friends with me on Facebook, whatever, inbox me or email wujao@gmail.com. And then also, oh man, we can't leave without advertising the course on sableuniversity.com. It is MK, what's the title of it?
Has the Egyptian hieroglyphic writing system been deciphered? A rebuttal to Walter Williams?
Yeah. So there's a new video with that. Make sure you check it out. Go to sableuniversity.com and check out the video. If you have the book, you need the book. The course is basically free, but you need to get the book. The book is $19, $19.95. If you already had the book, then take the. It's a brief course, all right, but it goes through the book, and it's that book that we wrote in 2016, and it was concerning all the claims centered around whether hieroglyphic writing system been deciphered. That was the Sarasut Seti, Young Pharaoh, Professor Walter Williams, or Walter Williams, I'm not sure he's a professor. Was saying all that stuff, and we refuted, and that's how you refute something. Like, if you want to know when and how things are refuted, get that book, because we shut that down. All right, as we shut down anything that we would address falsely. That's false. But with that, I'm gonna say Shem Hotep, and we see y'all another time. Tomorrow's a new day. We're may go live in the afternoon to cover Hatshepsut. So that's gonna be something that we could cover recently. In the very near future, Hatshepsut's birth. What else? Okay, not only Hatshepsut's birth, but this so-called immaculate conception with the birth of Heru. Because people have, their minds set on that too. We may, cover that and show some pictures that people are not familiar with, dealing with all of that good stuff as well. Because you know how the story goes. Satuk kills Osiris, chops his body up, throws it in the river. Set and her sister goes look for it, finds all the body parts, puts them back together like Humpty Dumpty, puts them back together again, except for his phallus. And then she magically aroused him to give birth to Heru. Now, the claim is that, okay, Christians stole that for the birth of Jesus and the Immaculate Conception and the virgin birth with Mary and this, that, and the third. I don't get into those conversations, so that's not going to be my motivation for going over it. I'm just going to share some images, and we're going to make some things out within the scenes where these primary sources are. All right. And so that's going to be something coming up. And what else we got coming up? any language stuff. We're gonna have to come in to chill. You all drive the conversation.
Yeah, I was gonna say that for anybody who's enrolled on the courses, especially my courses on Cyber University, I'm doing a whole overhaul. There'll be with instructional videos, so definitely just be on the lookout for that. I know Cyber Ujao is also planning on working on the beginner's course for that. So for those who've actually enrolled on the beginner's course, they're gonna be also getting some good treats out of that. So it will be structured courses that you get on Sabre University. So that's one of the things that we're definitely working on implementing, just so we get out of the noise and have more organized learning environment. So that's something that you're definitely going to be seeing a lot from us.
Yes, indeed. All right. So with that, I'm gonna say, excuse me, say good end of here. Y'all have a wonderful night. Rest of it. All right, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. All right, Shimon Hotep.
You said that when you go to Kemet school, you became more alert. You more wake up. Your spirit wake up, and you became a more human being. That's your character is built in a school. When you study what we call classical studies, we must know Medew Netcher. You see, maybe in the future we need to know some heretic too. We need to know Medew Netcher. So the most achievement in Kemet for me is education. The way they think, they build, and they practice their education is very unique in history. Without education, I believe there will be no Kemet.